talk about my internship in Boston, my future ideas, what lessons I have learned throughout my career and life, and then finally I would like to recommend some books for you for like summer reading. So this photo is actually uh, very important for me because this is like the cassette player that I got for Christmas one year. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old, and the first thing that I did when I got it was to open it up and look what's inside. So from early on, I was like very curious about stuff. I wanted to know how stuff works, and literally I opened up this thing and I went to my father and I asked like, "Hey, what is this?" And he was like, "Oh, this is a resistor. It doesn't let the voltage go through. What is this? This is a diode which lets through the current only in one direction." So I started like building my own stuff. So this is, for example, like one audio amplifier that I built. I think it was in middle school already. So I was very fortunate to have like very supporting family. So whenever I wanted to buy components, my father always was like, "Yeah, of course, go ahead and buy them." And also my brother was a really big inspiration. So over time, those hobby projects kind of grew in complexity. So this is like the 3D model of, I guess, a project from high school. Yeah, this is like the 8-channel audio amplifier that I built that has a Linux computer integrated in it. So basically what I wanted to say with those slides was that for me, the career choice of going and studying engineering was very natural. Like from, I don't know, like 5th or 6th grade, I already know that I will be electronics engineer. So yeah, it was really easy for me. So after graduating high school, I went to serve in the military, and I think going, in Estonia, the military service is mandatory for males, and honestly, the best time to go is right after high school, because then you don't know what is university life, so it's like so much easier. You don't have your own companies, you don't have family, so it's like a very intensive sports camp, and I have only very positive memories from the military service. So after the military in 2012, I went to Tartu. I went to study computer engineering. Right now, it's rebranded to science and technology. But basically, it's like a three-year program that gives you the basics of programming, hardware, robotics, physics, and really good base of math. So those photos are from Robotex, which is right now literally the biggest robotics contest, I think, from the Baltics. Yeah, and basically during one course of this bachelor's curriculum, we had to build a robot that plays football. So there are like 11 golf balls on the field, and each robot has to do like image processing to find out where are the balls, gather them, and then hit them into the right place. So also I want to mention that the universities are inherently academic. So without this practical output, it's really hard to get really good on engineering. So what I did in I think it was second year of bachelor's, I joined the S-Cube program, which basically sent the first satellite built by students into the space. And I did my bachelor thesis there. So basically, I won't go into details what this satellite is capable, but basically, during this project, I learned so much. It's crazy how much I learned. So this is the printed circuit board that I designed, assembled, programmed, and tested during my thesis. My thesis was so good that I got like maximum grade, and I wrote it in English because even though it was like a bachelor thesis, it already contained something that was actually useful for the cube satellite industry, if you say, yeah. So then after bachelor's, I thought that I should make a master's as well. So I went to do this robotics and computer engineering master's, which in 2015, when I started, it was first time taught in English. So super awesome. So there we learned like more those high level stuff like pattern recognition and the inverse kinematic problem of those industrial robots that have like 6 degrees of freedom. And honestly, I must say that this master's degree didn't give me that much, but still it was really awesome time in Tartu. Yeah, so then let's switch to my jobs, which I have had I think right now 6 already. Yeah, so during my second year of bachelor's, I was invited to Science Center of AHA. It was for a long time the biggest science center in the Baltics. Right now it isn't anymore, I think. But basically, I hope you all know what is AHA. Basically, I was there in an exhibition engineer. So my job was to build and maintain the exhibits. And one of the most memorable exhibit that I was part of was this underwater robot that I built together with Juhan Koppel. So I made all the electronics design of this project, and this was a huge success because we learned very much. And again, it was also a very big failure, because if you put electronics into water, water and electronics are usually not very good combination. So this thing broke down very often, and yeah, we needed to maintain it all the time, and it was a big hassle. But it was super awesome, and it looks very cool. So basically, it has like a camera on front of it, and you can steer it from like this suitcase that has those joysticks and has the camera video feed on it. So then actually also during my second year of bachelor's, I don't know how I managed to do all those things, but basically I was invited to become a teaching assistant in the University of Tartu. So I started giving like lectures of basically a very simple stuff, like how to make like schematics, how to solder a PCB, how to like inspect failures. So in the end, I was a teaching assistant for 4 years in the university, and this is like one photo that I took during the the practical lesson where my students were soldering their PCBs. So in the end, they actually made from scratch those things. So this is like an electronics dice. So you basically hold down the button, and the LEDs start blinking. And when you take off your finger, it will stop at a certain state, which is like either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So you can basically replace this for actual dice. So yeah, these kind of things are built during this course that I was giving. Then on my first year of masters, I wanted something new, and being this exhibition engineer in AHA really, didn't give me as much challenges as I wanted. So I went to this small private company called the Science Mosaic. And there I was just basically engineer, and I started building a product from the scratch. So I did everything starting from the schematics to PCB layout to programming the microcontrollers. So this is like one PCB that I designed and which I later on made my master thesis also based on this board. And working in a really small company is super awesome because you literally have to do everything. So here's an example what a actual functional prototype looks like. So it's just a mess of wires. Here's an example of mechanical design that I did. And this is the actual product that's now being sold. So I did also this design, and basically here's a photo from my master thesis. So this product is being used in microfluidics, which basically is a method of making experiments with liquids in a very, very small scale. So here you can see how I'm mixing together one blue and red liquid, and I'm changing the pressures so that the colors are changing. So this was actually made using this product that I developed, and also this product is being used in microfluid in soft robotics. So one experiment that I did was actually lifting a tennis ball with these soft robotics actuators that I built. So it was super fun times in Tartu, and then in 2017 I graduated, and I thought that I should extend my childhood a bit, and I found out that there is such a program like Erasmus Plus, which gives you like a four months of stipend after graduation. So I found this super awesome music tech company based in Stockholm. Back then it was Mind Music Labs, but now they have rebranded to Elk Audio OS. By the way, elk in Estonian means Põder, which is also my surname, but it has nothing to do with the actual product. So then there I was also electronics engineer, and this hardware ended up in the inside of Matt Bellamy's guitar. So basically, Mind Music Labs was a startup that wanted to create like innovation in a way how a musician can use their instruments. So they made like this hardware and software platform where people can create all kinds of virtual instruments and effects and run them live. So here's an example of an electronics engineer table. So literally all those tiny components were actually soldered there by hand under microscope. So it might seem like a mission impossible, but it's actually totally doable if you have the right tools. And again, I did a bit of programming as well. So here's an example how I measured the analog front end. So basically, I needed to verify that the signals have the right amplitude. And this is what an usual prototype looks like, a huge mess of wires. But this is actually needed to get the thing working. And living in Sweden was super awesome because actually one policy that this company had was that you cannot join unless you play some instrument. So basically we had an office full of guitars, we had electric drums, and we had like those spontaneous jamming sessions all the time. And since I play bass guitar and guitar, saxophone, and a bit of drums, I really enjoyed being there. And then I found out this BAFF stipend thing, and this is my final day in Mind Music Labs before I left to BAFF internship. So on this picture there are 6 different nationalities. So even though we were based on Sweden, we actually had only one Swede in the team. So yeah, so this company was actually founded by three Italian guys, and right now they have grown a lot. So I'm really proud. So then in the summer of 2018, I got this BAFF stipend, and I started looking for internship placement actually earlier on. So I found this super awesome startup based in Boston called Mark Forged, and they are developing 3D printers, and not those ordinary 3D printers, but printers that can print metal. And here's a picture of Boston, Boston skyline. And I don't have much photos from this work because it was very strictly forbidden to take any photos. But this was one photo that I am allowed to share. So this is one printhead prototype that I built. So this is my final day in Markforged. This chess pattern is actually used for calibration, and yeah, like the time in Markforged was awesome. But I think the the best thing about living in the States was still traveling and living there. So here's the photo of the house that I lived in. It was only 1 mile from my office, with a really beautiful backyard. So I was super lucky to have like very awesome leader, because whenever I wanted to ask time off, I always got it. So I got to travel a lot. This photo is taken from River Charles in Boston, so it's a Boston skyline. This is New York. I went there, I think, 3 times in total during this 1 year. This is Washington, D.C. This is one of the most photographed lighthouse in the States. It's located in Portland, Maine. This is Chicago, and of course, very cliche, but Grand Canyon. And this is Miami Beach in the beginning of February, where I visited a ground-up music festival in where they hosted my favorite band, Snarky Puppy. So I was really happy to see them live for the first time. And this is San Francisco, taken from the Angel Island, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So yeah, during my last month there, I went for a longer trip in the West Coast. So this is like a map of the places where I ended up during my year in the States. I actually haven't counted, but basically most of the big cities from the East Coast, also Canada, Mexico, and Puerto Rico as well. So I am a bit sad that I didn't have much time to spend in the West Coast, but this is in my to-do list for sure. So then I came back in the summer of 2019, and then I actually took like the whole summer off just to, you know, see what is there in the job market, and I found out about this startup called Co-Module, and very quickly I understood that this is my place, because Co-Module's mission is to empower emissionless transport, and therefore reduce the CO2 emissions, make the world cleaner and better. So there are so many hearts because it was taken on the Valentine's Day. But yeah, this is in our office. So some facts, like what I think about when I wake up in the morning. So basically, 91% of the world's population live in places where air quality exceeds the World Health Organization limits. So we here in the Baltics can be pretty safe, because we have a lot of forest and we don't have that much pollution, but most of the world actually suffers, and there are about 4.2 million deaths every year as a result of exposure to pollution. So you can actually compare this number with the deaths that the coronavirus has caused, which is like for around 40,000. So So roughly 1,000 more people die every year because of pollution. So what we do is actually very important for the world, and I, for me at least, for all the companies that I have worked for, I always want to have this like higher level mission, like why I do something, and this mission of basically making creating solutions for people so that they could leave their cars at home and behave more and behave in a way that's better for our planet. So this year we actually found out that that some of our clients basically want to start developing their own IoT. So the core business model of CoModule was to create those Internet of Things modules that were built that were put into a scooter or a bicycle, and therefore other companies were able to create like those big fleets of sharing scooters, for example. So now we figured that the sharing boom might be over, and thus we also realized that there isn't like a really good e-scooter that is meant for sharing application. So we built literally accidentally, we built the best e-scooter in the world. And why is that? I will explain. So basically, usually those cheap Chinese scooters, they last in sharing application around 1.5 years. Our scooter is actually built, like the frame is built from steel. So its lifetime expectancy is 5 years. It has a much better range of 40 kilometers. It is over 90% recyclable, and it's manufactured from 42% of recycled materials. And also it uses like, sorry, I want to play this video. Yeah, it uses 100 times less energy than for the same distance than a car. And when we tried this, when we compared our scooter with other scooters on the market, we quickly realized that actually this is the best right now in the market. Also, what's really important is, for example, the braking distance. So our scooter can stop in, I think it was 3.8 meters. And so it has this regenerative braking system where the energy of the movement is actually used to charge the batteries while you brake. And yeah, so far we launched our scooters, I think it was 18th of May, and so far the response has been really, really good. Maybe in the future we will also start our operations in some other cities, but right now we are only in Tallinn. So definitely go out and try our scooters and give feedback if you find something that is annoying. And one thing that is really awesome about working in CoModule is that our clients give us all kinds of scooters and bicycles so that we could like test our hardware in them. And this is like one of my favorite bicycles that we have in the office. It's a Maxon the downhill bicycle that has a crazy amount of suspension, and it has a motor built into the rear wheel. So, and it can go up to like 35 kilometers per hour with only motor. So it's a crazy beast, and I really love driving it. So this photo is taken in Tallinn. So it's the view towards the Paljassaare conservation area, where you can find me driving this bicycle very often. So what's next? Honestly, I must say that I don't know. Like a lot of people, pretend that they know exactly what they do. They have like some kind of plans, but the reality is that life will make their own corrections, as we saw with the crisis. I honestly think that the real economic crisis will reach us in the fall. So right now, I just enjoy what I do in co-module, and definitely I have some opportunities to grow inside of the company. So definitely I'm looking forward to a team lead position, or maybe chief technology officer's position. But right now, I honestly enjoy what I do, so I will just do it until life will do its job and give me some opportunities that I want to take. Just to give you some statistics, the maximum amount of time that I have spent in one company has been 2 years. So let's see how long I will be in co-module. So these are the tips that I would give that I would give to myself when I were like 18 years old. Do not settle for anything less than challenging. This is like one motto that I have carried myself throughout the years, and it has been proven to work very well. So always take up things that seem impossible and very hard. I will promise, like if you are doing it, it will be actually very simple, and you will learn so much. Secondly, if you want to get to know something very well, start teaching it. This is what I learned when I started teaching myself in the university. I always had to be like ahead of my students. So I had to like go beyond my usual things, and this has been really good, because right now I'm actually using those things that I learned daily. Also, take risks while you are young, like start your own company, move abroad, do something stupid. These are all the things that you should do while you are young, because when you are every year when you get older, you will get you will buy real estate, you will create your own family, so you will need stability. But if you're young, you don't need it, and you can just go all in. Fourth, live abroad. I think like every high school student should plan to live at least 1 year abroad, because this is really broadens your perspective. And for me, at least, what I took back home from my year in the States was that it is so good to live Estonia. Like some systems that are in place in Estonia are just very good. Fifth, ask about people's mistakes. you know, because people's mistakes are not usually, you know, put out public, and yet they are the most valuable things that you can actually learn from. So I always want to ask about people's mistake, and I have learned very, very much from them. Then read. Honestly, I hated reading when I was in high school, and the reason was that I now have like understood was that I was just reading the wrong books. So those mandatory books that were given to me, I just didn't see any value in them. And right now I have like rediscovered reading myself, and I read around 1 or 2 books per month, and I really enjoy. And so when you feel that you are reading something that is boring and mandatory, just go to your teacher and say that, hey, this book is boring, can I read this or that, basically. And I'm sure your teacher will be, yes, of course, go ahead. Then if you are not evolving professionally every day, it's time to move on. This is the reason why I haven't settled for one company for more than 2 years. For at least for engineers, like 2 years seems to be that time when you actually have all the internal processes and everything. And yeah, of course, when the company will grow with you, then it's okay. Then you can stay longer. Then mental well-being is as important as physical well-being. This is what I see a lot in Estonia, is that, you know, going to a physical doctor is okay, but going to a therapist is a taboo. So please don't struggle. If you have some issues, just go, and it's totally okay. Take care of yourself. Then assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups. This is what I have learned the hard way. Always don't assume, always ask. Then the worst thing that you can do is to be couch potato. This is what I mean. What I mean by this point is that next time that you open up Netflix to watch some series or something, then think about whether maybe you can spend this time doing something else that has more value. Then lastly, spend time with your loved ones, because this is what people actually regret the most when they are on their deathbed. So yeah, these are the tips, and these are the books that I recommend. I think for the 11th graders, I think the 80,000 hours Find a Fulfilling Career That Does Good is definitely a book that you should read, because this is actually like a research how to find area in which you can create a lot of value. So yeah, I think I'm ready for the questions. So we have like roughly 15 minutes.
Yeah.
For the
Thank
questions.
you, Thank you, Martin, very much. This was very, very inspiring, at least for me. I will start with the questions, because you're right, time is going. But I think many questions were maybe answered already, but still. Question is, Martin, I have one question. What have been your biggest mistakes, and if you resolved it, then how?
I think my biggest mistake, and also something that has actually proven to be good right now, is that I was a total nerd during my university days. So So I wish that I would have spent more time being social. So when I was in Sweden, and first time I went at home and I didn't have any homework, I was like, what I'm going to do with this emptiness in my life? And I started like rebuilding friendships, and I think like right now I'm much more social than I was back in the days. So yeah, I think this has been the biggest mistake that I would do differently. And so solution was simple: just go out and be social. And I think university days are especially very, very good time to make those connections. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Have you had an idea to create your own company? And if so, then what would you like to develop?
Oh yeah, I have so much ideas. I think like those ideas that I have, they are mainly related. They are not that tech related, but still they have like this some component of technology in them. So one idea that I had was starting to develop distributed mode loudspeakers, which is like a innovative way how to create loudspeakers that look just like a painting on a wall. So I'm really into audio, and I like listening music. So this has been like my most recent idea. And then I also had an idea to start my own microgreen business. So building like building like a vertical farm into my apartment, and eating and selling those things that I grow there. Because microgreens are super healthy and really good. Then during this Corona crisis, I started brewing kombucha, and all my friends really love it. So one of my friends said that I should make my own micro brewery and start selling kombucha. So I always have had a lot of ideas, but I haven't reached the implementation yet. But I'm actually very, very sure that someday I will create something and start. Yeah.
Yeah. Next question. First of all, thank you for your presentation. And the question is, how has your motto, never settle for anything less than challenging, reflected in your career path? How do you separate the challenges that drain you from those that make you grow?
Basically, whenever I get like a task from my boss or leader, I always like search for some kind of educational thing in it. So when it's something that I have already done, I will just say that, hey, like, can I like add some feature into it to make it more interesting for me? And also this is like this just has been a thing that I have very clearly communicated to my boss, that hey, like I want to learn something new with everything that I do, and then the leaders, leaders and managers, they look really carefully what they give me as a tasks. So yeah, I just look educational value for each task that I do, and when it's not there, I will just protest.
All right. Another question: when you were going, to the university, were you sure what you wanted? Like, were you sure about the subject and field what you wanted to study? Like, fully sure? Thank you
Oh
very much.
yeah, this was like 100% sure. Because I was so curious. I was really into electronics. I was building my own stuff already in already in a very very like from very very early age. So for me, basically, I found out that there are like two main places where I can study the thing that I want to study, and it was Taltech
Mm.
and University of Tartu, and then I just like Tartu more as a city, and also a lot of my friends went also to Tartu. So yeah, for me it was super easy, just because I was already sure what I want to do from a
Mm-hmm.
very early age.
All right. I have a question from my side. And if we may ask Martin also, I think you can stop sharing your screen so we will see
Mm-hmm.
everybody. Yeah, thank you. My question is, you were mentioning in the beginning that you were very strongly supported by your parents when you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to, let's say, buy something and, in your, during the school and so on. What if the parents are actually not so supportive and they want to put you and push you to different path? What to do? Like any
Ah,
advice here?
this is very very hard. Yeah, I think it's very good if you have like a mentor. If your parents are not supporting what you do, then I think you should have like a support person, like some person who you really look up upon, and someone who is doing something that you want to do, and then just uh, honestly, like those people who are successful, they actually get pleasure for like giving advice and teaching and supporting. So I'm very sure that if you are in this position and you want to seek out and uh, and you want to like uh, go to someone and say that, hey, can you be my mentor? I really like what I do. I really like what you do. Can we just sit down and talk? I think they will love doing it. So yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think like finding a mentor or a life coach, if you will.
Yeah. And I can ask one more question. You were in one of the tips for your younger self, you were mentioning that basically that the kind of the advice was that mental health and physical health are both important, but take care of your mental health. So, and you mentioned therapy, but if not, like, let's say not therapy yet, then how do you take care of your mental health? How to switch off? I don't know. For
Yeah.
example, here we have people who will soon have more and more pressure about,
Mhm.
finding your path, what to study, and so on. So maybe
Yeah.
some very simple tips.
For me, when I was in Sweden, I actually found meditation for myself. So from the books that I recommend section, there was one book about the meditation. I think it was The Mind Illuminated by John Yates, and John Yates is actually a neuroscientist. So this book was really awesome because it like combined the science behind meditation with the Buddhist traditions. So for me, it was really eye-opening that the meditation is basically like a workout for brain. So if you go to a gym for a workout, you will like train your physical body. If you meditate, you are actually training your brain to stay focused and to switch off all the thoughts that just come into your head. So I do like mindfulness meditation each morning. So it's basically part of my morning routine, and so far it's been really good.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Martin, for sharing.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.